Imagine this scenario. It is 6 in the morning in the suburbs of Chicago. Meet David and James. They both wake up to the same annoying alarm tone. They both drink the same lukewarm coffee. They both sit in the same bumper-to-bumper traffic on the interstate. I know exactly how that feels. You sit there gripping the steering wheel while the radio blares bad news. You swipe your plastic badge at the lobby turnstile at exactly 8:55. You sit in a chair that hurts your back to do tasks you do not care about. David and James are co-workers. They make $80,000 a year. They have been doing this for 15 years, but their bank accounts tell two completely different stories. David thinks he is winning. He looks at his 401k balance and smiles. He sees $250,000 on the screen. He thinks his future is secure. He boasts about his high credit score at the company water cooler. James looks at his own account and feels sick. He realizes something is missing. He actually read the fine print that the Human Resources Department handed them on their first day. Let us do some basic math. David pays a 1.5% management fee on his retirement account. It sounds tiny, right? It is just 1.5%. Your friendly bank manager probably offered you coffee while explaining this. He told you it is standard practice. He lied. Over 30 years, that tiny fee will eat up hundreds of thousands of dollars. David is paying over $300,000 just for the privilege of letting a bank hold his own money. Think about how you pay for things. You do not pay with dollars. You pay with hours of your life. To cover those hidden fees, David is literally working for free for 5 entire years. 5 years of waking up at 6 in the morning. 5 years of missing his kids growing up. 5 years of sitting in that terrible interstate traffic. All to pay a guy on Wall Street who clicks a mouse twice a year to rebalance a mutual fund. For David to buy that comfortable retirement illusion, he traded 10,000 hours of useless corporate meetings. If this number just gave you a punch in the stomach, hit subscribe right now. Here we do not talk about miracle investments. We talk about stopping the fraud you commit against yourself every single day. Let us talk about the big lie you have been sold. They call it the company match. They tell you it is free money. But look closely at the investment options they force you into. You only get to pick from a list of high-fee target date funds. This is what we call the phantom fee paradigm. The human resources lady did not design this to rob you. She does not even know how it works. The villain here is the silent partnership between your company and the massive financial institution. They lock your money in a closed ecosystem. They charge you an administration fee. They charge you a portfolio management fee. They even charge you a marketing fee to advertise the very fund you are already trapped in. They skim off the top every single month. You never see a bill. The money just vanishes from your account before you even know it was there. It is the perfect crime because you never actually hold the cash. If you are getting angry at this, in calculation, leave a like on this video right now. Anger is the first step to efficiency. You need to be mad to fix this. Now look at James. James realized early on that being broke is incredibly expensive. This is the classic Sam Vimes boots theory in action. A guy with money buys a good pair of boots that lasts 10 years. Guy who is struggling buys cheap boots that leak after a month. He keeps buying cheap boots over and over. In a decade, the poor guy spent twice as much and still has wet feet. The exact same thing happens with your investments. Because you do not have millions to invest, they put you in retail funds. Retail funds have administration fees, marketing fees, and transaction fees. This is the poverty premium. You pay extra just because you are an average worker. The billionaire does not pay a 1.5% expense ratio. He pays a fraction of a penny. You are subsidizing the system. You are the product. Your entire middle-class existence is a revenue stream for a fund manager in New York. Let me step into your shoes for a second. I look at my pay stub every Friday. I see the gross pay at the top. Then I see the endless list of deductions, taxes, health insurance, the mandatory retirement contribution. By the time the money hits my checking account, half of it is gone. Then I have to pay just to get to work. I pay for the gas. I pay the toll road. I pay for the dry cleaning of the clothes I only wear because of the office dress code. I pay the convenience tax of buying a $12 sandwich because I was too tired to cook last night. I pay interest on the credit card I used to cover the emergency vet bill last month. David ignores all of this. David bought a new truck on a 6-year loan to feel successful. He thinks his high gross salary makes him rich. He pays the interest on the truck. He pays the hidden fees in his 401k. He pays the silent inflation that makes his groceries 20% more expensive this year. He is literally running on a treadmill that speeds up every single month. He thinks his house is an asset, but he will pay double its actual value in mortgage interest over 30 years. James took a different route. James opted out of the highest fee funds immediately. He started moving his money into self-directed accounts where the fees are basically zero. He stopped talking to the friendly bank manager. He stopped treating his gross salary as his actual income. James understands that every dollar he saves from fees is a piece of his life bought back. I want you to do something practical today. Do not just listen to this and scroll to the next video. Open your laptop, log into your retirement account, find the exact document that lists the expense ratios of your funds. Calculate how much of your actual salary is left after you pay the cost of simply having a job. Calculate how much you pay just to let someone else hold your money. The final number is going to terrify you. If this video finally opened your eyes, send it to that coworker who always looks exhausted by noon. Send it to the guy who complains about his bank account but never checks his fees. Let us get out of this hamster wheel together. Write, "I understand the game" in the comments to signal the algorithm that you woke up today. Now let us talk about the greatest illusion sold by your HR department. Picture the exact scene in your head. It is your first week on the new job. You are sitting in a sterile room with terrible fluorescent lighting. You have a lukewarm cup of bad break room coffee in your hands. The HR representative slides a glossy welcome packet across the table. They smile and tell you about the company retirement plan. They talk about the employer match like it is a winning lottery ticket. They call it free money. They tell you to just select the default target date fund and forget about it. You sign on the dotted line because you have 100 unread emails waiting for you. You feel responsible. You feel like a grown adult finally building a secure future. But that piece of paper you just signed is a massive financial bleed. Meet David. David is 30 years old and makes $90,000 a year as an IT project manager. He is doing everything society told him to do. He maxes out his employer match every single month. He drives 45 minutes each way on Interstate 405. He deals with micromanaging bosses and meaningless Zoom calls. He skips his son's soccer games to meet fourth-quarter deadlines. He thinks his retirement account is his ultimate ticket out of the rat race. But David never looked at the fine print of his company plan. He never checked the administrative fees. He never looked at the expense ratios of that default fund HR pushed on him. His fund charges an annual fee of 1.5%. 1.5% sounds like absolutely nothing. It sounds like pennies falling between the couch cushions. But let us do the math of shock. Over 35 years of working, that tiny 1.5% fee will eat up nearly 40% of David's total potential returns. Let me repeat that, so it actually sinks in. 40% of the money his investments generated is completely gone, siphoned off by Wall Street fund managers who have never worked a single day in David's cubicle. Let us translate that stolen money into actual hours of human life. That 40% represents roughly $600,000. At David's current salary, that is nearly 7 entire years of gross income. 7 years. David has literally signed away 7 years of his life on his first day of work. He is going to spend 7 extra years sitting in rush hour traffic just to pay the fees on his own money. He will work from age 60 to 67 entirely for his fund manager. If that number just punched you in the stomach, subscribe right now. Here we do not talk about miracle investments or get-rich-quick schemes. We talk about stopping the financial fraud you are unknowingly committing against yourself. The HR department is not your friend. They are not financial fiduciaries looking out for your golden years. They are corporate administrators looking to check a compliance box as cheaply as possible. When a company shops for a retirement plan provider, they look for low costs for the employer. The massive financial firms gladly offer the company a cheap deal. Why do they do this? Because they make their billions by passing the exorbitant administrative fees directly down to the employees. They package these plans with proprietary mutual funds that carry heavy hidden costs. This is what I call the fraud of default convenience. The system knows you are tired. The system knows you just want to get your onboarding paperwork over with. They rely entirely on your exhaustion. If you are angry right now about this calculation, hit the like button. Anger is the very first step toward achieving real financial efficiency. Now let us look at how the poverty premium plays into this trap. Think about the boots theory we always talk about. It is always more expensive to have less money. The executives at David's company do not use the default target date fund. They have access to self-directed brokerage windows within the exact same company plan. They buy low-cost index funds with 0.04% fees. The wealthy pay pennies to grow their millions. The middle-class employees pay thousands to grow their pennies. You are actively subsidizing the retirement plan of your own CEO. Your high fees pay for the infrastructure that allows the executives to invest for virtually free. You are paying a premium simply because you do not have the time or the financial education to question the HR packet. Look at the money that vanishes from your account every 2 weeks. You see the deduction on your pay stub and you feel proud. You think it is going entirely to your future self, but a massive chunk of it goes straight to the administrative bloat. It pays for the slick marketing budget of the mutual fund. It pays the salary of the friendly advisor who comes to your office once a year to hand out branded stress balls and stale donuts. Those are the most expensive donuts you will ever eat in your entire life. Every time you eat one, you are trading another week of your future freedom. Let us talk about Christine. Christine works in healthcare administration. She takes home $4,000 a month. She contributes 10% of her paycheck to her retirement account. $400 a month leaves her checking account. She thinks she is sacrificing her current lifestyle for future security. She skips vacations with her friends. She drives a 15-year-old car that desperately needs a new transmission. But her company plan uses actively managed funds with a 2% fee structure. Over her career, Christine will pay more in fees than she ever contributed in principal. Her own money is working harder for the fund manager than it is for her. This is the rule of the invisible middleman. The middleman does not take any of the risk. If the stock market crashes, Christine loses her nest egg and panics. The middleman still collects his 2% fee on whatever cash is left. They win if you win. They win if you lose. And you just keep swiping your employee badge at 8 in the morning. You keep dealing with the toxic office politics. You keep missing family dinners to finish reports. You are the one doing the hard physical and mental labor. They are the ones harvesting the yield of your stress. Let us look at the guy managing David's fund. His name is Richard. Richard does not drive in rush hour traffic on the interstate. Richard takes a helicopter from Manhattan to the Hamptons on Friday afternoon. Richard pays for his kids' private school tuition using the fee extracted from David's account. The worst part is that Richard does not even beat the market. 85% of these active managers underperform a basic automated index fund. You are literally paying premium luxury prices for a defective product. Imagine going to a car dealership today. Imagine paying $80,000 for a car that breaks down every single Tuesday. You would never do it, but you do it every single payday with your retirement account. You just do not see it because it happens behind a digital curtain. The money never hits your checking account, so your brain does not register the loss. This is the psychological brilliance of the payroll deduction. It entirely removes the pain of paying. If you had to physically write a check for $500 every month and mail it to Wall Street just for the privilege of investing, there would be riots in the streets. But because it is automated, you accept it as the normal cost of doing business. It is not the cost of doing business. It is the convenience tax applied to your life. Now add the silent killer to this equation. Let us talk about inflation. Your money is being brutally attacked from both sides. The administrative fees shave off the top of your Returns year after year. Inflation destroys the purchasing power of whatever is left at the bottom. By the time David is 65 years old, a loaf of bread will cost $15. His property taxes will have tripled. His medical insurance premiums will be absolutely astronomical. He needs every single penny that his investments generate just to survive. He cannot afford to subsidize Richard's helicopter rides. But HR told him he was making a smart and responsible choice. The HR manager who signed off on the corporate plan probably does not even understand the fees either. They are victims of the exact same financial machine. They are just passing the bad deal down the assembly line to the next new hire. You have to be the one to stop the assembly line. You have to take radical ownership of your own numbers. The greatest lie they ever sold you is that you do not need to understand this stuff. They tell you finance is too complicated for regular working people. They want you to outsource your brain to the default option on a corporate form. Because the moment you actually look at the math, their entire business model collapses. The moment you realize you can roll old accounts into a self-directed account with zero-fee index funds, they lose their cash cow. You are the cash cow. Your ignorance is their most profitable asset class. I want you to do something highly practical today. Do not just close this tab and go back to scrolling through social media. Open your laptop right now. Log into your employer retirement portal. Dig past the colorful charts and the smiling stock photos of retired couples on the beach. Find the exact document called the plan disclosure. Look for the column labeled expense ratio. Look for the administrative fees. Calculate exactly how much of your daily labor is being quietly confiscated by people you will never meet. The final number is going to completely terrify you. If this reality check opened your eyes, send it to that coworker who complains about being broke but never checks their statements. Send it to the friend who trusts everything the corporate office tells them. Let us break out of this corporate hamster wheel together. Write "I understand the game" in the comments to signal to the algorithm that you woke up today. Look at your hands resting on the steering wheel right now. You are stuck in stop-and-go traffic on the interstate. Your back hurts from sitting in that cheap office chair all day. Your coffee is getting cold in the cup holder. Your corporate ID badge is hanging from your rearview mirror. That little piece of plastic feels incredibly heavy today. You swiped it at 8 this morning. You smiled at people you do not even like. You sat through 3 video calls that could have been a single email. You will swipe that badge again at 5 this evening. You are trading your peak physical and mental energy for a direct deposit that never seems to last. The month. You think you are building a life for yourself, but I need you to look at the cold reality of your situation. I need you to understand exactly what you are really building. You are a fee-generating machine. You are not the architect of your own money yet. You are just a highly productive gear in someone else's wealth engine. Let us look at David. David is a project manager living in Ohio. He makes $85,000 a year. He drives a 7-year-old Toyota Corolla because he wants to be responsible. He packs his lunch in a plastic container 3 days a week to save cash. He skips the $5 lattes. He clips digital coupons at the grocery store. David genuinely believes he is doing everything right. He sat in that windowless HR conference room on his very first day at the job. He listened to the friendly benefits coordinator in the pastel cardigan. She handed him a glossy brochure with a picture of a smiling retired couple on a sailboat. She told him to put 10% of his paycheck into the company target date fund. She told him to just set it and forget it. She made it sound incredibly easy. But that phrase is the biggest financial lie ever sold to the American worker. Set it and forget. It means stop paying attention while we quietly bill your account every single day. Let us break down David's real life using brutal mathematics. David has a 1.5% fee attached to his retirement account. It sounds like absolutely nothing. It sounds like pennies falling into the couch cushions. But Wall Street does not deal in pennies. Wall Street deals in your actual human lifespan. Over 30 years of working, that tiny 1.5% fee will eat almost 1/3 of David's total wealth. 1/3 of his entire life savings will vanish. Let us translate that missing money into human hours. For every 3 days, David sits in stressful meetings dealing with screaming clients. One of those days goes directly to a fund manager in Manhattan. David is missing dinner with his kids on a Wednesday evening to pay the landscaping bill for a stranger's Hamptons beach house. He is answering frantic emails at 10 at night just to cover the administrative costs of his own money. He traded over 300 hours of his life this year just to pay the hidden fees on his investments. He worked for almost 2 entire months for absolutely free. If that calculation just punched you in the stomach, hit subscribe right now. We do not talk about miracle stock picks or overnight crypto riches here. We talk about waking up and stopping the daily financial fraud you are committing against yourself. You see, being financially disconnected is incredibly expensive. It is exactly like the old boots theory of poverty. A poor man buys a $50 pair of cheap boots because that is all the cash he has. They leak after a year, so he buys another pair. He buys 10 pairs in a decade, spends $500, and still gets wet feet every winter. A rich man buys a $200 pair of boots that lasts 10 entire years. The middle class does the exact same thing with their retirement accounts. You buy the cheap, easy, default investment plan because you are too exhausted after a 9-hour shift to read a prospectus. You pay the premium of exhaustion. We call this the convenience tax. You pay a massive premium simply because you do not want to look at the ugly numbers. And the financial system relies entirely on your exhaustion. They know you are extremely tired. They know you have a mortgage, crippling student loans, and a grocery bill that doubled this year. They know silent inflation is eating your paycheck at the gas pump before the money even hits your checking account. If you are feeling a burning anger right now, hit the like button. Do not hide from that anger. Anger is the very first step toward brutal financial efficiency. Your enemy is not just some shadowy billionaire sitting in a dark room. Your enemies are much more boring and much more dangerous because they are everywhere. Your enemy is the algorithm that rebalances your portfolio automatically and charges you a premium for code that costs pennies to run. Your enemy is the friendly local banker who offers you a complimentary financial review. He smiles and shakes your hand just to sell you a high-commission mutual fund that barely beats inflation. Your enemy is the corporate marketing department that works overtime to convince you that managing your own money is too complicated for a regular person. They wrap the simple truth in endless financial jargon. They throw out words like asset allocation, expense ratios, and fiduciary duty to make your head spin. They do this specifically to make you feel stupid and small, because a confused person eventually just hands over their wallet. A confident person always asks to see the itemized receipt. But you are going to stop playing this rigged game today. You are going to step completely out of the machine. You are going to become the architect of your own wealth. Think about what a real architect does. An architect does not let someone else draw the blueprints for their own house. An architect does not let the concrete guy decide the layout of the master bedroom. So why are you letting a faceless corporation in another state decide the layout of your financial future? You have to take the power back right now. You have to fire the middlemen who are standing comfortably between you and your own money. You do not need a guy in a tailored suit on Wall Street to buy a simple, low-cost index fund. You do not need to pay a 1% management fee just to own a tiny piece of the top 500 companies in America. You can do it yourself from your smartphone while sitting on your living room couch. It literally takes 10 minutes to set up, but those 10 minutes of focused effort will save you 10 years of hard labor in a gray cubicle. Imagine what you could actually do with a decade of your life back. You could actually retire while your knees still work and your back does not ache. You could pay off the house entirely instead of just paying the interest to the bank every month. You could stop asking your middle manager for permission to go to your own daughter's midday dental appointment. You could finally breathe. This brings us to the real work for today. I am giving you a very specific, uncomfortable task. When you get home tonight, open your laptop. Pull up your official retirement account statement. I do not care if you had a terrible day at the office. I do not care if the dog needs to be walked or if dinner is getting cold. Dig into the documents and look for the exact line item labeled management fees. Look closely for the administrative expense ratio. Take that percentage, multiply it by your total account balance, and look at the actual dollar amount they took from you this year. Then divide that dollar amount by your current hourly wage. Look at the exact number of hours you worked for absolutely free. Stare at the number of hours they stole from your family. The final number is going to make you physically sick. But that sickness is the cure. If this video just shattered your financial illusion, send it to that colleague who always complains about being broke but never checks their statements. Send it to the friend who trusts everything the HR department tells them. Let us get out of this corporate hamster wheel together. Write "I am the architect" in the comments to signal that you took control today.